Hello, it is me, and you join me doing this video for you at exactly 3 AM in the morning. And it's the 30th of August, it's Monday, and tomorrow here in England is what we call Bank Holiday Monday, where, unless you're in a crappy job, no one goes to work. So, and I have a big spot on my forehead, which is just great. But anyway, I think I'm regressing back to a teenager. So anyway, yes, so doing this better late than never video, because I was supposed to do it on Friday. So 3 days late. But as you know, my dad is in hospital. So I want to talk to you a bit about what's going on with him. And there's also some bad news about my mum. So first of all, let's talk about my dad. So as you know, he was... well, what you don't know, but a while back he had a lot of problems and he kept going to the doctor and stuff, and to be honest it was partly him kind of ignoring certain issues, maybe not bringing them to the doctor's attention and thinking it's this, it'll go away kind of thing, and they didn't go away and they got worse and worse and worse, and the doctor got more and more concerned and said, right, you've got to go for a test. And to put this quite simply, they stick a camera called an endoscope up his arse, and they call this a colonoscopy. And when they do this, it's basically to look and see if there's anything that doesn't look quite right. Well, there wasn't something that didn't look quite right. That doesn't make sense. They found something that looks quite worrying. So they took a sample and they sent it to the lab. And the lab came back and said he has bowel cancer. Now, if it's caught early, they can, inside your digestive system, you have your lower intestine. And what they can do, that's where the cancer is, they can take some of that, cut it, and join the two pieces back together again. So they take the cancer away and they put these back together. And then hope that everything's okay. But that's kind of only happens in sort of 20% of the cases. The rest of the cases, what happens is the cells, the cancer cells, spread through your lymph node system, which is your immune system, which is connected. If you Google lymph nodes, you'll find more information. And it's basically a thing that goes throughout your body, like your veins in a kind of way. And then it goes and affects your lungs and your liver. And from there is nothing that can really be done, because they can't just start chopping bits of your lungs away and chopping bits of liver away and all the rest of it. So then, of course, they have to treat it with various drugs and radiotherapy and chemotherapy and stuff like this, which then, of course, makes you ill and kills good cells as well as the cancerous cells. And so the treatment can often be just as bad as the problem. And of course it's not guaranteed to work, and then of course if that doesn't work, then there is no hope, and eventually the cancer spreads and spreads, your immune system falls apart, and you die a sad and painful death. So we're not there yet, but after he had the after he had the colonoscopy thing, the instrument they used in the private hospital, because in England you've got National Health Service and you've got private insurance covered service. So he has the private cover. So he goes to this posh, nice hospital and comes out with an infection because it wasn't clean. It had this bug on it. He got an infection, and then he went into a hospital to have now 2 operations for something that is completely separate than the big problem. So all of this problem, which in itself what he's got is life-threatening, because it's a variant of MRSA, which I'm not quite sure what MRSA stands for, but basically it's a hospital bug that mainly lives in hospitals, especially in English hospitals, sadly. And effectively what it does is it is very, very hard to treat with antibiotics, because it's kind of grown up in a hospital environment. And if you have an infection, let's say you cut yourself, just to cut yourself, okay? it gets in to the cut, and then that's it. It's off, and it eats the tissue underneath the skin. And the only way to stop it is cut the area where it's eating the skin, which is great if it's somewhere. I mean, it's not great, but say if it's on your arm, okay, and it's all messing up your arm, you cut say an area of skin away, bump, and hope it doesn't spread, and then you know heals up, and you have a scar, but you live. However, some people, it affects them in different ways, or it's somewhere else, and it takes them over, and they die from it. And there's lots and lots of cases in this country where someone will go in with, say, had a car accident, survived the car accident, a few broken bones and stuff. They go into hospital, and then they catch this, and then they die. Not from the car accident, but from the actually going to hospital. So this is what my dad is having. Now, separate to this, my mum then suddenly tells me today that she too is having some of the symptoms of what my dad has got. So she's got to go and see her doctor, and we have to pray that she's not going to come down with what my dad has, because then both my mum and my dad will be in hospitals, different hospitals. So that's why I haven't been on the internet much, that's why I haven't been talking much, that's why I haven't been around much, and just generally kind of dealing with a lot of shit. Because the other 2 days ago I actually thought, and I couldn't sleep, because it was like my dad was having this operation, and it was told to me that if what he has isn't bad enough, because of what he's got and the condition of him, they were worried about just the general anaesthetic to make you go to sleep to do the operation, and so it was very worrying if he'd actually survived through the night, but he did, but he did suffer after the operation because he had some problems, his blood pressure, then he had a very high temperature that's put this kind of blanket over him that was like gently cools you down inside, and God knows how many drugs being injected into him. So yes, that's what's happening. So it's been a very tough few days, and I'm really not sure what to do. It's weird. So tough, and it really brings it home how vulnerable. Like you have your problems, you have anything you can do to yourself. You cut yourself, you break bones, you have infections. These are all things that are kind of, oh, it will get better, I'll get over that, you'll heal up. But when it comes to kind of cancer, then it's will it happen or won't it happen? And if you don't get over it, if you don't get better, then how long have you got? And there's so many types of cancers, and it's like, oh my gosh, when it was like when I used to smoke cigarettes, and you think, oh, you read the cigarette packets, this seriously harms you and those around you and stuff, and that if you smoke cigarettes, your risk of cancer is hugely more than if you don't, of lung cancer, for example. But because you don't have it, you smoke a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, nothing happens, You slowly, your breathing isn't as good as it used to be, but you don't really know that because it's a slowly thing. And I gave up smoking because of money, not health issues. I just was like, oh God, how much money am I spending on these, So, but then you suddenly think, when it affects you, because otherwise it's like, such and such person died, and they died of cancer, and you hear it on the news, it's like, oh, sad. Or a friend of a friend has it, But when it hits home and it's someone in your family, it's like, whoa, completely different. And it makes you realise how my dad was fine a month ago, fine. Now he's in hospital. And, geez, how quickly it happens, So I know I've spent a long time talking about, my dad and hospitals and shit and bad news, but I wanted to update you and let you know what's happening. And that's why I haven't been talking to you. So I hope you understand. And I will keep you informed and updated through emails and stuff of what's going on. But that's why I just haven't been around. So don't go getting pissed off and arsy with me for not talking to you, because it's not like I'm ignoring you. It's just if I have to go to the hospital a lot and do a lot of things. So anyway, I've run out of time, but thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.